What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Rift. My name is Rifty, and today we're going to be looking at a newer zombie apocalypse game that I probably put an hour into, somewhere around an hour. And I should probably also apologize for my computer's fan in the background. It is really chugging to play this game at its highest settings and record at the same time in HD. But yeah, so this is a game called MISCREATED. It's built on the CryEngine, and it's currently an early access game, as you can probably tell. I mean, the textures aren't crazy or anything, and this is at very high. I'm playing this at very high. I mean, technically the wood looks fine. I mean, it's like a polygon, but this game is definitely nothing crazy, but it is running on an engine where it can make things look unbelievably beautiful. For instance, if you see the water in this game, it's crazy. And we'll go take a look at that before I finish with this video. But I basically just wanted to show this because this is a game I've been playing recently. And my experience so far with it has actually been pretty good. I'm not really sure what this structure is for. I guess it's just a statue. I just thought it looked really cool, so I wanted to check it out. But so this is MISCREATED. And I do have a couple of gripes about this game, and I do have a lot of compliments I'd like to pay to this game. You can see a little bit of the water texture there, just like Crysis, which is also built on the CryEngine by Crytek. The water looks fantastic. My biggest complaint is how long it takes to get in the game, and then how heavy the game actually runs when you start playing it. You guys are probably seeing a little bit of jittering. I'm actually not seeing that much in game, but in the video you may see some frame drops or something. Although my recording is saying it's at a 30 frame steady, no drop frame rates. But so it probably takes around 5 minutes to get into a server. Now, to some people 5 minutes seems like a very short period of time, but any game you play, it should not take 5 minutes. That's like a 5-minute loading screen. That is a ridiculous amount of time to wait to get into a game. I've been able to get into some in like a minute, but never really quick. Never click and load like Arma 3 or even Arma 2. I haven't played DayZ standalone yet, but the DayZ mod for Arma 2 definitely did not have that long of a wait either. So I'm not really sure what's going on there, but hopefully I don't get stuck down here. Again, you can see some of these textures aren't the greatest. Again, it's early access, so a lot of this stuff is placeholder. You can see your feet, that's cool. Your legs, your body. And you can get a little bit closer glimpse at the water here. I do believe you can swim, and I'll test that out as well real quick. I'm not sure if the graphics have something to do with how long it takes to get into a game, but that's definitely a sucky thing. Moving on to my next gripe. My next gripe is, while the graphics do look good in some areas, I don't understand, outside of the game being early access, why the game runs so heavy. I don't see enough graphic infidelity, or that's probably not the right word, fidelity is the word I was looking for, and aesthetics for the game to be running so heavy. I think it's probably more CPU intensive than anything. Kind of reminds me of Arma 2's DayZ mod, how ridiculously poorly optimized it was. Obviously still a very fun game. That didn't make the game unplayable. If you had a computer strong enough to run it, that is. As far as things I really like about this, at the moment it doesn't have voice chat. Again, it's early access, so that's to be expected later down the road, unless they added it with the January 3rd update patch that I haven't read too far into yet, so I don't know what all was added. I think they added some new weapons and such. But because there is no voice chat, everything has to be typed out. So if you run into somebody and you guys decide not to be friends, it kind of makes for a difficult, I guess, first meeting. Because if you want to tell them, hey, don't worry, I'm not a bad guy, you know, friendly or something, you have to stop and type that entire thing out inside and then send it to them. Luckily for me, everyone I've met has been really just nice. Like the first guy I met gave me all his guns and stuff when he got ready to log off, which was really awesome. All his equipment, his helmet, I haven't really been able to find any of that stuff on my own outside of like food and whatnot. Which brings us to our gear menu. So our gear menu is pretty similar to what you'd find in like an Arma or a DayZ game. So you have the ability to change your clothing, of course, your shirt, your pants, your shoes. You also have a flashlight, which is, these are the things you get right off the gate, minus this can of tomato juice that I picked up. Everything else, you know, you have other areas to add. So you see you have like backpack up here, something you can add to your face, your neck, your torso, etc. You can put on things on your hands. And I just got kicked from that server, so you guys get to see me join a new server, I guess. Let's see. I think at the moment Island is the only one. I'm not 100% on that, so I don't want to speculate, but let's find a server with a lot of people. Ping is pretty high on this server. We'll just go back to this one. So now you guys will get to see in real time kind of me joining a server, and hopefully since I've joined one, maybe I'll get in quicker, but odds are I'll still be here at least a minute. So in this time, I'll talk about some of the other things. This menu music is incredible. I love it. The art is incredible. The feel of the game is pretty good so far. Obviously, there's a lot of zombie apocalypse games coming out. Already, we've seen War Z or now Infestation, Survivor Stories or something like that. DayZ, obviously. Rust, of course, and the list goes on and on. H1Z1 will be out later this month. So it's if you're a zombie fan, there's plenty of games out there. Okay, we are back in game, and I'm not even gonna move for a second here. I'm gonna let the game kind of fix itself up. It didn't take that long. I think maybe it was about a minute wait altogether. And it looks like now we're in a nighttime server, which I haven't played in yet. I like the starry skybox. So we have a red house or barn over here that we're going to check out. Oh man, this is a lot more creepy than it would be during the day. So in this game, I don't know if it's really right to say it's a zombie game. I thought about that after I said it. It's actually a mutant game. There are no zombies, they're all mutants. So I don't know if I'll run into one, but I've read in forums of people saying they're too easy to kill. They're only easy to kill if you have a weapon like a gun. With your fist, you're getting murdered every time. Let's see. I don't see anything. We're gonna risk it all though and go out at night. I like the looks of the houses. They have pictures in them. I don't know if this one does, but most of them tend to have like pictures in the bedroom or something to give it kind of that homey vibe. Let's see if we can open any cabinets. What is it? F? Doesn't look like I can interact with anything in this house, but normally if you run into a house with like a refrigerator or something that's still intact, you can actually open the refrigerator, which is really cool. So one quick thing I wanted to comment on is how they mark off basically the border of the map. Basically you have this long wooden wall, which again, I haven't read too far into the story. I've just been trying to play the game and see how fun it is without knowing really any backstory. But this is how they block off, and this could obviously change. Again, it's early access, but that's how they do it right now. I have no issue with this. I'd much rather have this physical blockage rather than a invisible blockage as you see in like the War Z, or I guess it'd be okay if they had a mountain blocking the way as well. I don't mind that too much, but invisible Tony Hawk walls and limitations is not my thing. So you can't really see it in the dark here, but you can't go prone. You can, however, crouch if you need to, and then slowly proceed to sneak up on someone, and your footsteps will make less noise when you're crouched. When you're walking, they make a little bit more noise, and when you're running, they make a ton more noise. So I'm assuming if you're trying to sneak by people or things, you'd probably want to crouch. So that's a game element right there that you could take advantage of. Another really cool thing that separates this game from DayZ, in my opinion, is the fact that it's more of an Americanized kind of game. When I say that, it kind of sounds jacked up, but DayZ kind of has like this Russian feel to it, and I'm not really sure where it takes place. Forgive me if I mess that up, but it's kind of cool to be able to, oh wow, okay, this looks like a place that, you know, I would be familiar with, rather than DayZ. Everything, you're like, you feel completely out of your touch, out of your comfort zone, which helps with the vibe, but it's a different feel to some of these other zombie games that are coming out now that have more of a, I guess, a North American kind of feel to it. But that's more of a personal thing than does it affect game performance, so on and so forth. This game, as you can kind of see, hopefully the video's not too jittery, but the game does have a lot of pop in, and again, early access, so all of this stuff is excusable. This is more or less, my phone just went off, a first peek, first impressions of MISCREATED, although I've put about 2 hours into it at this point playing. This is still a definitely first kind of impressions on it. I will say one thing. As I'm looking through this house, I realized that equipment is pretty rare. Thought I saw a light down there. I guess not. Equipment is pretty rare. I haven't found anything outside of, you know, like the tomato juice. I'm sure if I looked in more houses, I'd find more food and water and whatnot. But weapons, as far as the outskirts of the town go, you're not going to find many, it looks like, at the moment. That doesn't mean in the future they won't spawn in more, but at the moment that does seem to be the case. There's a rarity of equipment, so when you get something, you want to make sure you hold on tight to it. So before I didn't finish going through this before I was kicked out of the server, but you'll see you have some other things you can also customize in here, including crafting. So I assume, I don't know what all you can craft yet. Again, I haven't looked into any of the forums too in depth, but you definitely can craft an item if you have the right supplies. I don't believe I do have any supplies that are going to come in use, so that's a pretty pointless thing. As you see there, you can just right click and consume any of your items. Since I don't have a backpack, all of this stuff is being stored in my blue jeans. I assume that means the more I store based on this weight, I'm probably going to be moving either more quickly or less quickly. So it might have a fallout like system of how much you equip depends on or determines how quickly you can move. As far as vehicles go, I don't know that there are any vehicles that are currently available. I've ran by a couple of like tractors, but I don't believe I could have driven them by any means. So at the moment, vehicles are a question mark, but I'm sure they will be added later. I'm pretty confident about that. Okay, so here's a little fun tidbit. That looks like a deer, or is it? I think it's a deer. I'm not sure. That's a deer. Yeah. So I'm definitely not going to be killing that thing with my bare fist, but animals are in this game. What all animals? I have no idea. H1Z1 is, I believe, going to have some zombified animals. I believe all the animals in this are just going to be normal animals. As you saw there, look like a female deer, but how do I know? So I guess you could kill that and probably cook it up. Whether or not you can start fires or not, or campfires, I have no idea. Bonfires, etc. That'd be something to look into for sure. As you can see here, I have two paths. I can either go down this bridge or go this direction to the right that looks like a city. Let's see what this city is called. Sultan. Looks like it's called Sultan. Welcome to Sultan. So, very Walking Dead-esque sign, actually. Maybe it's just me connecting random dots. But I believe the first time I played this game, I actually got spawned in on the other side of that bridge. And I think there's some water over to our left here. Not 100% of that. Definitely a house right there, but we're going to proceed and try to make it into some type of city or town here. And see if we can't meet up with, I think there were only a couple other people on this server, but it'd be nice to meet someone else in this game. So here we have an abandoned gas station. Again, for some odd reason, this reminds me of The Walking Dead. 400 days if you play that game. We have a bus here, 2 rundown to use. Um, what are those? Mice on the ground here. Don't know if you could kill and eat those or not. But very Crisis 2-esque rundown things. And we're just gonna go in this gas station and look for some supplies before we continue on our path here. So right off the bat, we have some canned meat, and I can press F to pick that up. And nice reflections there. Have some peas. We'll just pick those up. Here's a good example of possibly opening up maybe some other things. Let's see. Maybe not. Maybe we're not going to be opening up anything. Doesn't look like I can open any of this stuff, unfortunately. But doors can be open nonetheless. We'll pick up these peaches, and again, I might start moving slow if I pick up a plethora of these items. So we're keeping that in mind as well as we pick things up. Here's a car battery, but because I don't know where any vehicles are at the moment, I'm pretty sure that's going to slow me down quite a bit. But let's see if we can figure that out right now. This item cannot be carried, so I can't even do anything with that item at the moment. Unfortunately. And if you look to our left over here, you can see our first mutant. So this is an example of one of the mutants in the game, and you can sway side to side as well. And I'm gonna go ahead and dip out before he comes after me, because I'm gonna die quite quickly if I aggro him. So I don't want to play that game. Let's see what we have over here. Gotta be a bit more careful now because I know there are mutants on this server. I was a bit curious for a second there, but respect the government. Let's see if we can't find anything useful in here. While I believe the video is probably going to be a bit laggy, I'm definitely recording in 30 frames, so I'm not sure how much of an impact that'll have. The actual game performs a lot better than it did when I first played it. Granted, I've completely upgraded my computer since then. It's definitely a lot better performance-wise, and running at a pretty solid frame rate. So, performance-wise, I don't have the same complaints I had the first time. I still think it's probably a bit too demanding of a game for what it is, but no complaints about how it runs anyways. You should be able to run this game on lower settings regardless of how powerful your computer is. If you can play DayZ, you can play this without a problem, I would imagine. So, is this a church, it looks like? So here we have a church. I guess we do have a flashlight. Let's see if we can't use that thing out of our gear. I'm actually not sure which button turns on our flashlight, but we'll try to find out here. Oh wow, I feel extra dumb because I have no idea what button it is. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I equipped it and then I just right click. I'm not sure if this thing has batteries or not, but I like the way it looks. Very horror game-esque. And the textures look a lot better, actually. It seems like in the dark than they did previously. So, and we have a graveyard. I get the weird feeling there's probably a mutant out here somewhere. So I'm actually going to turn off my flashlight and continue on without it. To my knowledge, I will applaud the developers for one big thing. They've made almost, actually, I'm not sure if there are any inaccessible buildings in this entire game. I believe everything is accessible, so I can go in any of these houses. And maybe eventually we can make it to the point where we can build around the houses. I know they're talking about being able to build bases is something. I'm not sure if that's already something you can do in game, but yeah. So I'm actually going to end this video by going over here and fighting this mutant. I have no weapon, so I'm going fist to his giant weapon, but let's see who wins. Maybe if I weave a little bit, I'll put on a better performance. Nope, I died. And so when you die, you go back to the main menu, and you have to wait about 15 seconds before you can spawn again. I'm not sure if that changes based on how many times you die in a short amount of time or not, but at the moment, that is the first time limit on your respawn. So thank you guys for watching. This has been my first impressions on MISCREATED, a post-apocalyptic game. Yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching.